either. But first of all, thank you, Paula and Claire, and the whole of the LCRIG team. It's so lovely working with you. And yeah, absolutely delighted to be here for the second webinar. Quite a lot has changed since back in January, actually. We now have the AV Act in place, and after next week, and CCAV came to the last webinar actually, but obviously because of the election, they can't really join sessions like this. So maybe the next one we can invite CCAV back and give an update on how the secondary legislation plan is going to happen. But yeah, we now have the AV Act, so things are building on that. So I'm just going to spend, I was going to put my time on actually, next 6 minutes or so doing a very quick whistle-stop tour of Zenzic and what we're doing to try to support the CAM industrial ecosystem within the UK and all of the other partners that need to come together to make CAM really actually kind of get deployed out there on the road. And I love this picture that we had done back in Innovators Day last year. We had a company called Scriberia come in and put together these pictures, and really it kind of says how complicated and how many different things have to come together to actually make this happen. But it's a really positive story as well, you know, of actually bringing people together, and people is what it's all about. And that's why I'm really pleased that we've got Jim from Cabforth 2 up in Edinburgh and Dan from Cambridge to come and talk to us about how they're putting this tech on the road to help people's journeys. So these are the benefits that we're aware of today about CAM. So 5 people a day die on UK roads, which is just a staggering figure, absolutely incredible. And that doesn't include all of the kind of significant crashes that happen. So, you know, and no one gets up and thinks, oh, I'm going to have a car crash today, you know, but human error affects so many of that. And if we can use technology to reduce those statistics, and I think it's a, you know, great way of that. Also, you know, we do a huge amount of driving. We're stuck in a lot of traffic jams every year as well. So if we can increase people's productivity, get people to work on time, or even, you know, get them to their parties or wherever in a better way, then I think that's a really good outcome as well. We know accessibility to transport can be exceptionally difficult, you know, in transport deserts, that's very hard, but also for people who have difficulties, accessibility difficulties. We work with the organisation Motability a lot as well. But how can we make transport as accessible to as many people as we can to really grow the economy and improve lives? So Zenzic was set up about 6-7 years ago, and we are not for profit. We're tech and audience agnostic, really. We're co-funded between government, the CCAV team there, and those companies that get industry grant also provide support for Zenzic. And we do insights, innovation and collaboration, identifying whether it's local authorities or the insurance industry or the freight and logistics industry or whomever that we need to talk to. So we have 7 different pieces of work, and this is the deployment and supply chain competition support is what this webinar is for. But a lot of it kind of leads into a lot of the other work that we do too. So this program was awarded about nearly 2.5 years ago, I want to say, and just over £80 million investment from government into these projects. So we don't have time to go through all of the 6 deployment projects and 13 supply projects today, unfortunately, but they are all on our website. These are deployment ones. So there's Harlander up in Belfast that was heard about on their first webinar. And then we've got Cabforth 2 up in Edinburgh. We've got 2 happening in Sunderland, people movement, and also a freight and logistics one, working with the Vantec and Nissan teams up there. We've got Scale, which is in the NEC and surrounding areas too, and then Project Connector in Cambridge. And this kind of demonstrates how many different organizations, and there's others as well in this supply chain, need to come together to kind of really get this CAM on the road. And it's not easy, which is why, you know, the government's kind of supporting these projects financially and in other ways as well to kind of help them succeed. And interestingly, there's lots of universities who are part of this, and one of their roles is to do consumer research to see actually what is this like for local constituents, and you know, how can we learn from that, and where are those crossovers, so that we can try and kind of, if you wanted to do it in your location, how can you learn from other deployments, and how can you actually do things maybe slightly differently, adapt it for your audiences, and who should you go to talk to about what is the risk of cybersecurity, for example, what are the communications requirements, what do these vehicles look like, all these different questions that you may have, like how do you plan the routes, and all these things. This grouping, this ecosystem, are actually doing it in real life, so they'll be able to help you there. So Harlander was in Belfast. They've got names there that I'm sure you've heard of to regenerate the Belfast Harbour environment. And then Sam's up in Sunderland. They're putting a shuttle on the bus there to go through the city centre up to the hospital, to help move people and, you know, going to hospital appointments, but also people who work there. Scale is in the West Midlands, with Omeo as the vehicle provider, and it's a bit of a all right, that's my timer, so I'm going to have to move on. And then we have the supply chain as well. So there's some really interesting projects happening there, both in Milton Keynes and some other areas for airports as well. So that's a very quick whistle-stop tour of what we do at Zenzic.